At the root of much of life's suffering is attachment to ideas, possessions, relationships, and even your own identity. From the very start of your life, you begin to form this deep sense of ownership and entitlement, often without realizing it. You weave your sense of self around things that are inherently temporary, things that were never meant to last forever. This attachment creates an illusion, making you believe that happiness is tied to the stability of these things. Yet the truth is, everything is in a constant state of change, and within this impermanence lies the key to your release. To truly understand detachment, you must first recognize the nature of suffering. Suffering arises from the conflict between your expectations and the reality of change. You hold on to things, whether they be material possessions, relationships, or even your own ideas of self-worth, hoping they will remain constant or evolve in the way you desire. But nothing in life remains unchanged. The things you are attached to either transform or disappear, leaving you with feelings of loss, frustration, or sadness. This suffering, which ranges from mild discontent to deep anguish, is not an inevitable part of life. It is a consequence of your resistance to let go, your unwillingness to accept the transient nature of all things. Detachment does not imply disengagement. To detach does not mean to live in isolation or apathy. Instead, it requires a deep engagement with the present moment and an acceptance of reality as it is, without the weight of expectation. When you detach, you do not shy away from life's joys, challenges, or relationships, but you do so with the understanding that nothing is permanent. You immerse yourself fully in the experience, but when it comes to an end, as all things must, you release it without clinging to what once was. This release is the essence of detachment, and through it, suffering fades. Your journey toward detachment begins when you realize that everything you hold dear is temporary. The money you accumulate, the love you experience, even your physical body will one day change or vanish. At first, this truth may seem overwhelming, but it offers a powerful lesson. The only constant in life is change. The more you resist it, the more you suffer. Once you internalize this reality, a shift occurs within you. You start to see the world not as a collection of things to possess, but as a stream of experiences to witness and appreciate. And within this flow, you discover freedom. It is in relationships, perhaps more than anywhere else, where attachment breeds suffering most deeply. You invest yourself in others, hoping they will fulfill you, complete you, or remain unchanged. But people, like all things, evolve. When your expectations go unmet, disappointment arises, and that disappointment leads to suffering. However, when you detach, you can still love deeply without the desperate need for the other person to conform to your expectations. Detachment allows you to appreciate the present moment with others, without the anxiety of what might happen next, or the clinging to what has been. It frees you to love without conditions, without possessiveness, and without the fear of loss. Detachment also applies to your inner world, the attachments you form to your own thoughts, beliefs, and sense of self. You often define yourself by the stories you tell about who you are, by your achievements and failures, and by your perceived strengths and weaknesses. But these too are impermanent. Just as material things come and go, so do your ideas about yourself. Clinging to a fixed identity creates inner conflict because you are always changing, yet your attachment to a rigid self-image resists this natural evolution. Detachment from the self means allowing yourself to evolve, embracing the impermanence of identity, and being open to continuous growth. When you let go of the need to define yourself, you free yourself to simply be. Living in this state of being, unburdened by attachment, brings you inner peace. Without the constant need to hold on, you experience a lightness, a sense of freedom. Detachment enables you to move through life without the weight of past mistakes or future anxieties. It allows you to experience life as it is, not as you wish it to be. And in this acceptance, suffering diminishes. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of all suffering, and to overcome suffering, you must learn to detach. This does not mean abandoning everything, but rather embracing the truth that everything is subject to change, and that your happiness cannot rely on external circumstances. Detachment offers a powerful antidote to fear, especially the fear of loss, which fuels so much of your suffering. Fear arises from attachment, the fear of losing a loved one, the fear of losing status, wealth, or health, and even the fear of death. All these fears are born from your attachment to things that are temporary. But once you fully grasp the impermanence of everything and embrace it, fear dissipates. Loss is no longer something to fear because you understand that loss is simply part of the natural flow of life. In reality, nothing is truly lost, for everything is interconnected in the cycle of change. Even death, the ultimate fear, can be met with equanimity when you detach. You cling to life because you are attached to your physical existence, to the notion that you are a separate individual with a fixed identity. But when you detach from the self, you realize that you are part of something far greater, something eternal. Death is not an end, but a transition, a continuation of the endless cycle of change. When you release your attachment to the fear of death, you also release your fear of life. You are free to live fully, knowing that every moment is precious, not because it is permanent, but because it is fleeting. The beauty of detachment is that it doesn't demand that you renounce the world. You can still enjoy the pleasures of life, form deep connections, and pursue your passions. But you do so with the understanding that none of these things define your happiness. You are free to enjoy them fully, without the fear of losing them. And when they inevitably change or pass, you are free to let them go without suffering. This is the paradox of detachment. By letting go, you gain everything. To live with detachment is to live with true freedom. It is the freedom from suffering, from fear, and from the illusion of control. It is the freedom to love without conditions, to engage with life fully, and to accept change with grace. Once you learn to detach, you step into the flow of life, and in that flow, you find peace. You are no longer bound by the constant push and pull of desire and aversion. You are no longer a prisoner to your own expectations. You are free. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. If you're still with me, please leave a comment on what you learned or what you would like to add. I would appreciate it. As always, wishing you a beautiful day.